Welcome to the People's Guild with me, Wasco, and my co-host, B Jangles.
We're a couple of Splinterlanders that love exploring all things Pretoria with a wide variety of guests from all across the community and Splinterlands universe.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild, another week, another episode, and we are very excited to present to you guys one of the superstars on SplinterlandsTV. He's one of the big representatives on, I'm getting raised eyebrows with that comment. He's one of the big representatives of Team Philippines in the Splinterlands, which if you've been living under a rock and missed it, Philippines is one of the biggest and fastest growing communities within our game. And we are super excited to be welcoming our guest to the show. We've got Mr. DamienWolf. Welcome to the show, Damien.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you on, man. And we were kind of speaking a little bit off air about traveling and Philippines. And I was just wondering if you, for those people who haven't been to the Philippines or are wondering what it's like, and there's a little bit of a rumor that the next Splinterfest could be in the Philippines. So could you give us a little bit of an idea about your home country, like, the people, the places, the food, or just like a little bit of a background?
Okay, well, I'm not gonna go full National Geographic on you guys, but basically, of course, Philippines is an Asian country. We are a mix of a lot of races. One thing about the Philippines, though, I'm not sure if I have the facts correct, but like we're the third best English speaking Asian country or whatever. I'm gonna Google it later, but basically the reason why I'm communicating with you guys or able to communicate with you guys because we take pride in our sort of adaptability and being able to speak English maybe a little more fluently than our other neighbors or so to speak, but also we're very hospitable. There you go. Okay, you really Googled it. So there you go. Yeah, but it's really again, we're a hospitable race. We've if you come down here, and I know we've talked about this earlier, but maybe some people will go to some sides of the Philippines and some sides. But again, whenever we see a foreigner here, we call it an AFAM. Yeah, it's a term. It's called an AFAM. It's a foreigner around Manila. And normally when there is like an AFAM around, we try to put our best foot forward. Like, you guys wanna eat balut, or you guys wanna eat, yeah. Balut is something you guys gotta try. So you talked about food, that's gonna be one thing, along with adobo and those other street foods that we have. But I want to, not being biased or whatever, but I think we are a warm warm people, warm race, and we are, we're quite sensitive. There is a little bit of maybe being colonized that foreigners are kind of being looked up on or whatever, but I feel that we just try to put our best foot forward, want to have our culture known, and sometimes that over eagerness may translate into something or might appear as something else. If you're not, I guess if that's not on your mindset, right? If you have a different kind of mindset, oh, this guy is trying to do this and do this, but actually this guy just wants to, hey, know us, man. This is how we are. This is how we are in the Philippines, and it's not, it's not strange to go up and and have somebody just go up to you and hey guy, hey look, have you tried this? Have you tried this food or whatever? He might be a vendor, or he might even be somebody who's actually eating that. And I try to do that. I try to stripe up a conversation with somebody when I'm trying to eat somebody. Okay, look, I'm rambling, guys. I'm sorry. This is how I am. It's a streamer's curse. It's a live streamer's curse and whatever. So I'll try to get back on topic. Yeah.
How
go ahead.
how do people take it when you go up to them and ask them about if you have tried this before? Are they quite receptive to it?
Well, there is, of course, the first probably the first few seconds of probably shyness or wondering what the hell is going on here. But if you speak to them in English, that's where things might go a little bit awry and whatever. But if you speak to them in my local language, like if I ask, "Oy, okay, I'm gonna say some Tagalog phrases like nakain mo na ba to?" or which is translates to, have you tried this already? They will respond. They will say, "Ah, well, sir, yeah, we've eaten that," or "Yeah, nasubuhan na, we've tried that already," and yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not you don't get brushed off, as often as probably in other countries, which I've experienced and read about, because I've been well, I've toured around Asia, so I've kind of tried to see how people are from what I've experienced, and Filipinos are probably a lot more receptive to those kinds of ideas. But there is a difference. Again, if you are speaking in English, they might think that you're for, even with how I look right now and I speak in English, I might have a different kind of reception, um, you know, in contrast to if I speak in my local language, Tagalog. I've tried that actually.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting perspective, David. I appreciate you sharing, and I think you're being. I'm going to say uh, a little bit too humble on the general warmth of Filipinos. I spent a little bit of time in Cebu, and oh man, it was such a warm welcome, and everybody is friendly. I had a couple of buddies. Shout out to my friends in Tucson, Arizona, that were from the Philippines, and that you can take the Filipino out of the Philippines, but you can't take the Philippines out of the Filipino. Some of the most positive, upbeat, warm, welcoming, smiley people on the planet. So I think you're being humble there. That being said, the fact that you're pushing balut off onto people is
You already know about that.
that's a crime, man. I did try balut. I didn't try it in the Philippines, but I've got to say it must be an acquired taste.
It is an acquired taste.
It is very next level. It takes anything that you know about food to it puts it to shame. It takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, Waskel. I'm looking at Waskel right now. Have you tried balut? And it looks like he's pouting and.
I was just about to say, what is balut?
It is unfertilized duck egg, duck embryo. So yeah, and you eat it off the shell. And the problem with that, actually, the only problem with that is that you actually see the duck forming. Some of them even have hair and beak, and this is something that you're supposed to like eat whole and whatever. Again, it is an acquired taste. So, but
So
everybody uses that like a bar. Like whenever you have a foreigner friend, it has to be balut. Like, look, there's a lot of other things we eat here. We have isaw, which is like chicken intestines, and I really love that. Some people eat betamac, which is blood clotted. I forgot what it was, but anyway, we got kwek kwek, which is quail eggs in batter, so to speak. And yeah, it's there's a lot of food that you can eat here. Some of them might seem exotic, but it's just like daily stuff for us. And yeah, we're not like, we're not eating children or whatever, but yeah, but there is some exotic variety that you can enjoy, actually, even you just step out of the house. There you go.
That's wonderful, man. Yeah, the ballots. So I think the thing that struck me as the most offensive to my palate with balut was the texture. I'm big on texture, and as you're working your way through the balut, it's like, really light bone, and then a little bit of feather, and then the egg texture, and it's just, wow, it's
choke on the beak, man. I mean, choke on
it's an intense dish. Let's say that.
Right. Okay.
But I wonder, like with that. So. Sorry, I'm going to keep asking you about balut now. So, are there different stages of balut? Then you say so. There's like, is there a speciality? Is it kind of like, like
I'm gonna offend people here, but I'm not a balut master, so unfortunately I can't answer that. But when somebody says balut, it's just there's no like rare or medium well done balut. And of course, the vendor doesn't know what stage the embryo is in, right? It's not like we have an X-ray machine. It's you take it as you get it. And some of these guys, we have a lot of posts in social media where something it looks like a Pokemon already, right? Something is formed here, and I'm supposed to eat this. It's like comedy. it's like every single Filipino vlogger down here probably has an episode where he gets a foreigner friend try to eat, balut. I know it
Yeah.
sounds cruel, but some of them like it, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't. I'm not a very big balut fan, but I
You just try and sell it to
I
the
like my
others.
eggs fried or sunny side up or whatever, right? And not duck, but
I've
I
definitely
trust my
tried. I've definitely tried it before. I think in Vietnam they do have something similar as well. So
something
yeah,
like it.
I've tried it before. You mentioned before about Philippines being the third best country in the Asia for speaking English. I'm just interested to know, how did your English become so fluent? Like, me and Bijangles are English teachers, so I'm always interested in how how people learn, English. Like when I hear some people that they're really fluent in, like you ask them how they did it, and
Mhm.
actually in Taiwan, some people just haven't even left Taiwan, but their English is exceptional. They could be lucky their parents um could be English speaking. They could have learned it from even gaming. I know like gaming is like a big part of how lots of people are learning English recently. TV. So how did your English become so fluent?
You're speaking about me, or you're talking
Yeah,
about
you.
me in
Yeah,
general? Okay,
you.
so
Yeah.
for well, first of all, I'm not full-blooded Filipino, so my grandfather is a Spaniard. It's not like we speak Spanish or whatever. It's just that when we're at his house, we have to speak in English. So it's just something that he brought up. But then as a kid, I love comics. And whenever I read up on Spider-Man or X-Men or whatever, what I do is I kind of like change my voice while reading up on the panels. That's how I became a voice talent. I'm not sure if you know about anime, but I'm actually the voice of Gohan in Dragon Ball Z down here in the Philippines. I used to be the voice of
Oh.
Gohan. Yeah, it's part of my
Damien,
repertoire.
how was that not in the preview article, man? That is so
Because
cool, dude. You are a
I
superstar,
know. I,
bro.
I
That
I
is
do bring it up.
badass.
I bring it up from time to time. But I was a kid back then. And here in the Philippines, when you say, "Hey, I was the voice of Gohan," well, you better give us a sample, right? They sample, sample, sample. I can't give you a sample. Gohan was a kid back. I was a kid back then, right? But basically I was a commercial talent. I was a voice talent before. But the point that I was trying to get into is that me reading up on comics, me reading up on a lot of books, I love movies, man. I'm a big movie buff. I'm the popcorn I'm the popcorn eating Netflix and chill kind of guy, right? But before Netflix, I'm the movie kind of guy. So I go and watch movies, I read up a lot of books. And I went into this it's a website. Have you guys heard of the game Fallout? Yeah, so there was
No.
like this group who brought up this Fallout type forum, and we're supposed to role play, right? And you make up a character. It's a post-apocalyptic world or whatever. And these guys are from all different parts of the globe. We have some people from the Caribbean. We have some people from Poland. There's a German guy, of course, a lot of Americans. And you have to fit in there. I enjoyed being with them, so I had to do the research. I mean, I know I've done this, I've done that, I've read a lot of comics, but I have to kind of carry a conversation, and I have to write about it, right? I have to they have to understand my humor, my culture, and I have to understand theirs, right? It's not a perfect thing, but it kind of it honed this skill that I had in being adaptable to situations. And again, it's not perfect, but if I can carry conversation with you guys, I'm happy with that. And that's how I guess when you saw my write up, that's how I thought about, I had to have the Splinterlands OGs, which are Filipinos think are untouchables, or we can't speak to these guys, right? But no, I wanted to connect my Filipino audience. That's why I had Bulldog on my channel. That's why I interviewed him. Yeah, I interviewed Luke. I interviewed Dwayne. That was a very, very cool conversation, me having Dwayne, because he's like one of my idols in Splinterlands. So yeah, and it's just honing the skill and being able to practice it a lot. And sometimes when I feel that I'm kind of slipping, right? When I think, hey, I might not be understandable, or people might not. I'm trying. Um, I'm having a hard time understanding these people. I just go back to that. I just read up on comics again, or read a few novels, watch a few movies, and it's there.
Well, I think like that's the beauty of English, right?
Hmm.
Even like, from us as English teachers, you don't necessarily have to speak great English to be understood, right? You
True.
can you can speak it very brokenly, but that's what I always wanted to ask you, because your English is fantastic. How about the general population in the Philippines? Because over here in Taiwan, they learn English very rigidly. They go to school in the mornings,
Hmm.
then they go to bushy bands. So for people who don't know bushy bands, it's like a after school class, and then they just generally they will just be kind of fed these lines. They write it down, they have to learn it, so it's very rigid in that way, and I dare say not too enjoyable. I think lots of children leave school at at high school level, and they don't have a great feeling towards English. So how is it? How is the experience for the population in Philippines?
Well, I mean, we were a colony, right? I mean, we were first with, of course, Spaniards. That's why of course, a lot of everything down here in the Philippines is sort of we can say based on Spanish language and Spanish culture. But then we were also under the Americans, right? There was a time that we were under the Americans, and aside from that, I think I talked about it earlier. I told you about the Pinoy pride, right? And everybody trying to show, look at me, I'm a Filipino, right? This is my race and whatever. And I think that kind of eagerness translated to people wanting to learn, wanting to get to in order to get that across a lot more effectively is in a way, I guess, like how I did it for the OGs of Splinterlands, is that you need to know how to express yourself in that regard. And I think that's how it is with the Filipinos. Besides the fact that, of course, you talked about school and whatever. And yes, we do have English in school. A lot of our curriculum is based off in English as well. There's like we do have, honestly, dude. I failed Filipino class back in college and whatever, right? I think Filipino is the one of the things that I have a low score in, because the Filipino, the Tagalog language, actually goes a lot more deeper than how we speak it, right? But it's probably ingrained in us uh to get our point across. We want to express ourselves, and no bias, no whatever. We know that English is like the number one language in the world to express. Like, you go everywhere, people can speak English, and I think that's how it went. But I think I really feel that the colonization did help in that. I mean, if we were probably under China or whatever, we probably might be speaking more Chinese. And but then the again, that Filipino mentality of trying to get my point across, I'm sure that will still gravitate to English. That's my personal opinion. Don't it's not written down as fact or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm humbled to be in front of English teachers. I mean, uh, I my work I worked as a call center agent, and I've moved up. I've actually became an instructor and a trainer. And also, remember, well, on my write up, I told you about racing, right? That was part of my gaming repertoire. But I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I told you, but because of that that racing game, I actually became a real life instructor for racing, for car racing, right, on the racetracks. And I had to deal with foreigners too. I had to talk to them. I had to speak with them. So The call center thing, of course, helped with that. Uh, the the school wanted the school really thought that I was effective in that, because again, I can carry a conversation with the foreigners that that are enrolled in the school. But also, I it's just me. I take pride in being able to express myself this way. And I'm gonna tell you guys, it's not everyday positive, right? Sometimes down here in the Philippines, what happens is that if you speak in English, they will say things like, "Oh, my nose is bleeding," or whatever. And sometimes you're kind of typecast, or you're kind of like an outcast for for being fluent or whatever, right? But me, I take pride in that, right? I mean, it's you can't take away all the experience that I've had talking to all these wonderful people. You can't limit me to this. Otherwise, I would not be speaking with these handsome gentlemen right now, or being able to experience the things that I've been able to experience. If again, I want I feel that it is a it is a wonderful thing that happened to me, that to be able to speak fluently. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of Filipinos that you can carry a conversation to down here in the Philippines, and I feel we have that kind of connection too. We want to express ourselves, and we want ourselves to be known, not to be gatekeep, not to be told that, hey, you're too, we call it conyo. You're too conyo, you're speaking English, man. Yeah,
Is that the Spanish word there?
I think it is a Spanish word. Yeah, coño. It's like you're an upper class person,
Like
or whatever,
snobby,
right? Exactly.
highbrow.
There you go. Snobby,
Yeah.
highbrow, right? So, oh, you're so coño. You speak in English, man. Whatever. Wait, like, hello. I mean, are you living in the 1500s, man? We're in we're 2023 right now, right? I mean, you gotta move out of your world, right? You can't be limited to this stuff. Okay.
Well, kudos to you, Damien, and yeah, I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of as far as your English fluency. It's clear that you put in the work. You've got some very native expressions up your sleeve, and I don't feel like there's any sort of gap with a sense of humor. I think that's a good test of kind of foreign language fluency. Waskell and I are both here, and I would say we've got a decent understanding of Mandarin, and when you're trying to learn and speak that foreign language, especially when you're surrounded by locals that speak said language, a good testament to your kind of level of fluency is, are you able to crack jokes? Are you able to understand jokes? Are you able to drop in local colloquial expressions and that sort of stuff? So yeah, no, I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of. I think there's probably a little bit of a sense of perhaps envy or jealousy when folks do express that bitterness towards you for having such that high degree of English fluency. But yeah, kudos to you, man. I do want to talk to you, Damien, about the kind of the current state of the Philippines. I know throughout COVID and the pandemic, the Philippines enforced a pretty strict lockdown, and I want to get an understanding if you feel like that kind of is what directed. I'm going to bring things back slowly towards Splinterlands here. I wonder if that community has grown as a direct byproduct of lockdown, and for those that don't know, would you mind kind of quickly touching on what was kind of the degree of lockdown in the Philippines throughout the pandemic?
Sure, thank you. I'll probably connect that to my own experience playing Splinterlands, because when was the bull run? Was it the 2021 or 2020? Was
2021.
21.
Right. And that's exactly the time that I started playing Splinterlands, but it was more of how do I say this? We've got to address the fact, of course, that Filipinos found out about it from Axie Infinity. We're gonna have to accept that fact. I accept that fact. And like I said, when the pandemic hit, the lockdown was very strict, and a lot of our a lot of our workers down here are laborers. We have transport people. We have drivers. We have how do you call this? We have janitorial services. We have a and we have what we call tricycle drivers. It's motorcycles with cabs on it. I think we also guys also have that in Taiwan and people were trying to find out a different way of a way of earning in the pandemic, and it was very hard for a person who did not have the technology to be able to go online and work from home and those kinds of things. But every Filipino down here has a cell phone, right? And every Filipino down here has is connected to social media. You can it's I'm gonna ask you guys straight on. Do you guys have you guys have Facebook profiles? You guys have Facebook pages? Both
No.
of you said no, and I mean, if you say that down here, it's like you you're an alien.
Are you living in the
Pardon, pardon.
1500s?
Kind of like that, right? I mean, every Filipino and their dogs, they have they have Facebook profiles down here, right? And I'm gonna get to that later because there is a funny thing about live streaming, which is also connected to that. But because of that, every Filipino does have a cell phone, and that's how they are updated to stuff. And they found out about Axie Infinity, and Axie Infinity, of course, had a mobile thing as well. And um, there was this documentary that showed Axie Infinity and how these couples were able to buy a house and whatever. And that started the craze, the Filipino craze, and in trying to get into the play to earn games. Hey, we have mobile. We are mobile here. We have a lot of people with these cell phones. What can we do with these, right? I mean, so those drivers, those working students and whatever, they started to look online. They've seen all these play to earn games, and we've seen an entire people diving into that, and that's how. Again, I'm not, I don't have the exact stats as like when I said about Filipinos being the most fluent. But aside from that, in terms of play to earn games, crypto and NFT, Filipinos or the Philippines is, I don't know, maybe second and third as well. I'm sure you guys are going to Google it or whatever. But that's why I think back when I was playing Axie, there was like a stat release of 60 or 70% of players were actually Filipinos, right? And going back to Splinterlands and how Splinterfest, there was this rumor about Manila being considered a venue for Splinterfest was because of that, right? I mean, it's not because we cater to this, this. Okay, I'm gonna say minority, but this race or this other. It's because it's just their stats, right? The stats say that these people, there's a lot of people playing Splinterlands in this side of this side of the world. So we can bring it up to them. We can bring it to them. I hope that brought some insight.
Yeah. I think it's. Sorry, Ben, were you about to drop some stats?
Yeah, I was just gonna say to kind of further drive home your point. So global crypto adoption rates are sitting around 3-4%. The Philippines is upwards of 15%. So obviously that's a significant difference there. In the Philippines, you guys are a country of 11 million people, something like that. No,
yeah,
much
again,
bigger than that.
national, maybe bigger. But again, going back to how we are, again, one of, I guess, since I don't know the real statistic, but one of the, I guess, one of the countries which speak English more fluently than than other neighbors, that that helped us understand these games. Even the lowly, or I'm not, it's not speaking lowly about them, but it's a term. But even your jeepney driver or whatever can understand something here. They can.
Yeah, just quick correction, Wasco, and I'll hand it over to you. The crypto adoption rate is 15% or about 11 million people. The total population is closer to 114 million. Just quick on the fly stat check in there. Go ahead,
I
Wesley.
love it. You guys like bring up the stats. We can correct ourselves and not have somebody like email us and, hey,
Yeah, thanks, Uncle
we're
Google.
canceling you. We're canceling you because you said something wrong about our country and whatever, right? So yeah.
But
Hey, we got our
it's
stats correct here at the People's Guild, guys. Come on.
but it's still quite fascinating how it was so widely adopted in the Philippines, because the Philippines wasn't the only country that was in lockdown, right? But it's just
Agreed.
really fascinating how it it is so well, like you guys did adopt that play to earn, the play to earn games at that time. And like I think in Taiwan is regarded as quite a computer savvy country,
Mm-hmm.
but like people don't play to earn over here. They're just those games, just like you
Oh
flick your
yeah.
finger up.
Just,
Is it
Candy,
normal
Tetris,
Candy,
game.
Candy Crush is king.
Candy
Candy
Crush, right?
Crush? Yeah.
Diner
So
Dash.
like
Yeah.
why do you think it was so widely adopted? Is it just those stories? Like I read somewhere as well, like your president, like I've actually kind of got this quote here. It says like he emphasized the need to adopt like emerging technologies that could eventually pay for crypto adoption to expand further
Mm.
soon. So like do you get that feeling from the government that they're like backing crypto?
Actually, no. I mean,
No.
I'm not sure where you've heard of that, but on the contrary, during that time, this is a different time right now, but during that time, uh, when Axie also, when the crypt play to earn games and Axie, of course, got really got hyped up. There was even some talks about limiting it, or having our tax people look at it and whatever, right? But I'm gonna go back to your earlier, probably the point in why the Filipinos, was able to adopt the play to earn mentality early on. But I did say it was a combination of a lot of things. Our way of being able to understand English, being able to speak a lot better, but also going back to the conversation we've had when I sneaked into this Zoom meeting while you guys were talking and bringing it up, and not to speak negatively here, but of course, Philippines is still considered a third world country, right? And people are still looking for, of course, for ways to, to get money, right? And to get rich. And again, being able to understand what you have to do to earn this, it's not rocket science, but it's also not easy information. People wouldn't know how to convert, for example, DEC to Hive to bring it to your Binance or your whatever, right? And if somebody who is not not doesn't know how to speak English about that, I mean, they would have some trouble with that conversation. But Filipinos were able to adapt to that probably because of our, I guess, English fluency.
To kind of further understand that ease of accessibility, I guess, for the Filipinos who are trying to enter a space like Splinterlands, how easy is it to go about, purchasing something like DEC or SPS or buying credits? Are all of these things kind of equally available in the Philippines, or do you have to do a little bit of deep diving into getting currency onto the blockchain?
Just a little bit, but the cool thing about what we have down here, our telecom companies, we call them Globe or Smart, especially Globe. Globe has this thing called Gcash where you can load up on, you can put load for first it was used for data, for mobile data and whatever, but then they made it into a way that it's a virtual monetary, again, a virtual way of paying things, and they've adopted that. And Binance.com actually had a way where you can buy crypto and NFT, and you can use Gcash, you can use your bank transfer and whatever. And since the Philippines is already, again, 99.9% mobile, right? Everybody has Gcash. Everybody has to know. Right now, you can actually go to 7-Eleven and you don't have to You don't have to use cash, right? I know in the US credit is king, and you guys don't need to do that actually already, but here in the Philippines it's a big thing, and just people just knew how to do that. And once they did, the Binance thing came up. Um and the Philippines being mobile, I think helped with watching a lot of these bloggers, YouTubers, and everything. It hyped up everything, and people went into the play to earn. I can earn with my cell phone. I'm sitting. I'm in the we call them canto boys, right? We call them canto because they sit on the edge of the street, and they're there. They're playing their mobile games, and instead of playing their mobile games, I can play a game which I can earn in, right? And there are stories down, of course, the FOMO stuff. There are stories about couples buying a house. There's a story about a 14-year-old kid buying a car and whatever, right? And these things were brought about by social media, which of course I told you 99.9% of Filipinos are connected through Facebook and social media. Everybody got to know this, and everybody jumped in on the hype train, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that was I was going to ask you about that as well. I wonder how often that did happen, because that's definitely one of the stories that people do hear about Splinterlands or Axie Infinity, how people from these emerging economies were able to support their family, and it definitely did
Yes.
change their lives. So like in your community, or like from what you've heard, like quite did that happen quite often, or
Oh,
as you say, was it through social media?
it um I mean, if it was centric, I'm not saying it's all 100% true, but
Yeah.
of course, if you're gonna say something, I mean, I've brought up stories like that. Everything that you see here, you don't see my aircon, but my air conditioning unit, all the streaming equipment, uh, the samurais that I have at the back, they're all from crypto, and they're all from my earnings. And I'm one of those people who brought that up. I mean,
Wow.
Splinterlands paid for my air conditioning unit, right? There's even those little things, the air conditioning unit, right? The Jollibee meal that I had today came from my grind, right? That is a big thing. Filipinos, um, we usually eat cooked stuff, right? And one measure of there is a joke down here in the Philippines where um you guys have heard of Jollibee?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Jangle. So it's our version of McDonald's and
It's
whatever. And
just for some perspective. Jollibee is, I think, the Philippines is one of the few places in the world where a McDonald's is present, but not the number one fast food
yes,
chain. I think.
exactly. There you go. But there's this joke that you know that you've succeeded, or your measure of success is you're riding in a bus and you have a bucket of Jollibee chicken, and people can smell it all around you. So the fact that and
So
there's
we have a good idea of what success smells like.
there you go, right? Exactly. That's the joke down here in the Philippines. There's a meme where you're riding a jeepney or a bus and you have a bucket of Jollibee chicken because the story is that you actually bought that playing a game and in crypto. So it's more of, but of course the more tech, I guess the tech savvy people down here can talk about crypto trading, NFT, crypto trading and whatever. I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, I'm not into that, right? I'm not a crypto trader. I'm a gamer, and I think you guys know about that in the write up, right? And a lot of people in the Philippines are gamers. Even the street kids that you've talked about earlier in your convo, at one point in their on their daily life, they will be sitting down and playing this game called Mobile Legends. And that's how they escape from the harshness or whatever or poverty or of the daily life, because that in a way, and I might be rambling here again, guys, that's also my way of getting into my competitiveness in gaming in general, because here in games there is a time that I can win, right? I mean, in real life, I may be behind in my rent, or I don't have enough to put my brother to school or whatever. But here in this game, I'm winning, right? Now, imagine having that kind of mentality that you can win in these other things, and but now you get paid for it, right? And everybody jumped on that. And again, all that the combination of all that I talked about earlier, Filipinos being connected through social media, watching YouTube, looking at all these influencers and streamers, and getting FOMO'd by the couple that again that bought a house and whatever, but also experiencing it by themselves, trying it out and actually earning something, buying a Jollibee chicken for their lunch, and there you go. You got people, word of mouth spread and everything. And that kind of translated to my growth as well, because I told you guys in my write-up was that everybody was into Axie Infinity. And I was like the only person playing Splinterlands. But then when I was streaming it, some people got into it, some people got checked it out. But when it finally grew that this is something that I can earn in, and the investment that I had to do was particularly low, that's where I got my community. All the followers, probably around 90% of everybody following my page right now actually came from the Splinterlands community. And I grew into like an overnight success, I guess. And again, combine that with the fact that I can speak English and Tagalog, right? This is one of the reasons why I got connected up with Level Up Life and Mango Mayhem from Team PH. One of the reasons why, I mean, there's a lot of streamers now with Splinterlands, right? I mean, Filipino streamers. But one of the reasons why they keep going back to me is because, again, I can communicate, I can express myself, and they can understand me, and I can understand them, and and it's not mutually exclusive. I can't, I don't have to be just this Konyo guy or Konyo guy or somebody understanding English and just be that. And I can't, and not also just the Filipino person who's stepping back. Oh, because of these guys, they're snobby and whatever. I can be both. I can go from one place to another and be sort of like the bridge to them. And it's not me boasting about it, but I also understand it. I've accepted it actually, that I can help. And when I read, I've gotten messages from people telling me that, hey, I was able to get this because of you. Hey, I was able to pay for my daughter's wedding because you were able to teach me how to succeed in Splinterlands, or thank you for bringing me into this game, or whatever, right? Those little things, it's cliche, but it does keep me going. It keeps me saying that, hey, I've made a little bit of a difference, right? At least I've touched this life. It goes into the teacher in me, because I consider myself more of a teacher as well. And you guys know that, right? I mean, succeeding by yourself is great, but actually touching somebody's life and being able to influence them in succeeding in themselves, that is a legacy. It's an unspoken legacy, right? People may not know about it, but you know it, right? You taught English to some person who, if you weren't there, probably didn't know about English. But then because he was able to speak English, he's now able to land a good job, or get into live streaming or whatever, right? And you've actually touched somebody. That's the thing that I wanted the newer streamers to have. Like, it's cool to be idolized, it's cool to be thought highly of, but it's better and it's best to actually be able to influence somebody and be a good influence, and okay, I'm rambling again, but just being able to touch them and change their life for the better, right? There you go. That's my TED talk. Sorry. Yeah.
No, man, that was beautiful. It's so fantastic to hear how this game has changed your life. And personally, I don't feel it's you're showing off or boasting. I feel that people need to hear people like you and how you have made a success of your life, because I think people, especially in this day and age, they need to see that there are different ways that you can make money. You don't have to do yeah, of course you can go and do a 9 to 5. That's entirely
Mhm.
up to you. But it's really important to hear that there are different avenues. But I think it also highlights that having be being as fluent as you are in English, it's definitely helped to open the doors, right? Open many doors. And I think that's another, fantastic thing about learning a language. And it was also interesting to hear Nifty Arcade speak on the town hall. I don't know if you heard about that, but he also they also, they're trying to onboard more and more people, and it was great to see that uh that his primary goal is to like onboard people from these emerging economies. So yeah, it's like for a game like Splinterlands, this is, and Aggie was also just really happy that these type of things are going on. So yeah, it's just great to hear you talk about this as well.
Right. And yeah, I've heard of Nifty, of course. Team Philippines, Team PH, very connected with Nifty. We've started this, how do I say this? Just to talk a little bit about Team PH's vision, especially with Level Up Life and with Mango. They're trying to point out that they have this they have this movement, or they have this thing where they say, you do this, you have a kilo of rice. They call it, you do this, you buy this, and you grind this, and you have a kilo of rice. And down here in the Philippines, it's also, when I told you about Jollibee being the measure of success, that is like the joke, that's like the joke in the meme, right? But buying the kilo of rice is actually one important, I guess that's the real talk, right? I mean, you've been successful if your kilo of rice, and rice is very big down here, of course. Um, and a, normally a kilo of rice is priced around $1, or maybe around that mark, right? So, what Level Up Life and Mango is saying is that that's how they try to get the Filipinos on board. They try to say, hey, you guys do this, you have your kilo of rice a day, right? And I think it's very clever, and it's a way again for to bridge that gap where what do I have to do, what do I have to do, or what can I accomplish doing this. And they always try to bring it down to, let's get that kilo of rice. And um the thing about being in the, I guess let's put up the fact that we are in a bear market right now, right? What we want to show people, especially those who are, I'm not sure if they've lost the vision, or they've you know have not been truly on board, is that with Splinterlands, a game like Splinterlands, and the awesome the how do I say this, I've been into Web 2 gaming, kind of all my life, right? So it is not common to see a team which tries to really improve their game uh, for everybody. We see that a lot, of course, in play to earn games. But me, being involved with already in a few play to earn games already, Splinterlands is like the only team that I've seen. You've mentioned Aggie being on the town hall again, Nifty trying to get into it, right? Matt, we know we've had this unfortunate layoffs, I think a while back, but you know they're always looking for ways to make it into something sustainable. And it's not just for them, it's for everybody, right? It's not some money grubbing company where you buy my assets and you play my game and that's it, our connection is over. We actually have round tables right now, we actually have councils right now, we have proposals, right? You might say, oh, this is just common for the centralized thing, but if you're a gamer like me who've been playing games like from 3 years old, you don't see this kind of thing present in a lot of the gaming companies. They're gonna try to grub you for every single penny, and you don't get anything in return, right? Here, it's not just you can get something in return, you actually have a say. And it's not that you have a say. You can connect. You can be in the town hall. You can actually hear the CEO talking about the company and talking about how, hey, something is not right here. This is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna accomplish it. And this is the end goal. We have a roadmap. This is what we have to do. And don't you worry, guys, it's gonna happen. That translates to all the other departments. For example, I'm in Splinterlands TV, right? And we're one with that vision. So, if Aggie brings up something about, there's something that has to be done, and Splinterlands TV can influence that, we can do that. We can talk about land. We can talk about Rooney. We can talk about all the things that has come up. And I think with all the we're not supposed to talk about this, but I'm going to tell you guys about it. But we got a lot of layoffs in the recent times, but Splinterlands TV was one of those which they kept, and they that goes to the point that they feel that social media and live streamers, content creators, they can bring a lot to the game, but also it's to connect the people, because if you write about stuff, that's great. People can comment, right? People can read about it, people can comment. But in live streaming, you have a real-time connection to the people who actually love the game or want to know about the game, right? That's why I love, although I do create guides and videos, I love live streaming because I love to connect. It's like with you guys. I'm talking with you guys. You have a question, you can talk to me about it. It's the same with live streaming. They can put up a chat instantly. You can try to connect, and you guys can have a conversation. It's so cool, and I think that I agree with him. I think it helped bring up Splinterlands, and it's still helping Splinterlands be still in there in the game and be still recognized by a lot of players and content, I guess, a lot of players in this space.
Yeah, I want to quickly just call out a couple quick things there, Damien, and to further credit what you just mentioned, that's how we connected, right? I was on the People's Guild account, and we hopped into Twitch, and you and I were going back and forth in a conversation, and you were addressing my questions and kind of comments on the live stream, and then we ended up connecting off air on Discord, and he fast forward a couple months, and here we are. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. I think Splinterlands TV, we're just really starting to sink our teeth into what the power of broadcasting Splinterlands through all these similarly minded individuals can really be. And I think credit to Rondon. He's such a huge fanboy for what Splinterlands is trying to accomplish the world over. And I love that segment on Town Hall here in Rondon. Come on and kind of just glow about what's exactly. It's so much fun. And I love seeing FOMO February is the current kind of undertaking. And obviously people are going to flock to wherever people are able to get free assets. But we have seen that kind of incremental, steady increase of viewership across Splinterlands TV. Mm-hmm. And one more thing I want to circle back to, Damien, and I'd love to hear you kind of expand on this a little bit further. I love what Level Up Life has and Mango have put together with the Get Your Kilo of Rice. It's such a relatable thing. It keeps things in perspective, right? Like, we see these success stories of folks, paying for a big vacation, paying for your honeymoon, sending your family into a big fancy house. But the reality is those things are more than likely not going to happen to you. Exactly. But a kilo of rice, that's a very attainable, relatable, and achievable daily goal. And I love that it's a realistic measure of what you can achieve on a daily basis with this game. And I'm gonna steal a line from our buddy 12 Infidel Dwayne. Mm-hmm. Time and attention. That's what it's all about, is putting that time and attention in, and you will be rewarded. So Damien, I want to hear your thoughts. We've obviously entered a new era of Splinterlands where this entire deck of cards is available to you on a soulbound basis. What do you kind of project, and what are you hearing in the Filipino community? How is this going to affect that ability to attain a kilo of rice every day? I imagine that, you know, there's a couple of different ways that you could go about. Previously, at least, you could go about getting that kilo of rice, whether it was through, you know, selling your cards that you were getting through SPS, selling packs that you achieved in your daily chess. But obviously, we've kind of narrowed the scope there, and now you're able to liquidate your SPS. You're able to liquidate your packs, but your cards are your cards until the team, you know, draws that line and says, okay, now it's time to be able to unlock, and we can sell. What is your perspective, Damien? How has Soulbound cards kind of shifted the narrative towards being able to achieve that daily kilo of rice?
Well, okay. I guess this is something we've talked about in one of my on my Splinterlands TV shows. Yeah, there was a well, before I go on, I do want to acknowledge, just to bring this in, aside or before Mango and before Level Up Life, one of the, I guess, pioneers in Splinterlands down here in the Philippines, his name is Ace Lim. We headed a group called Project Ace. We were the one that brought up the Facebook group called Splinterlands PH. It is the biggest Facebook group dedicated to Splinterlands, right? And we've had people on all sorts of, I guess, in every way part of Splinterlands, whether they're a player, whether they're an investor, they can actually go in that group and talk about what is happening, what are their thoughts, and you know, and we've had a lot of these things brought up on our group on Splinterlands PH, right? And there are people talking about how soulbound cards are, you know, going to destroy. Actually, this was the topic 2 weeks ago on my Splinterlands TV. We were talking about, are you guys? I had this concern. I told him, because Vajangles knows this. I kind of mix it up. You know, there's a lot of streamers who just put gameplay footage, and I do that too. But sometimes what I do is, hey guys, let's have an impromptu podcast. Everybody go into this Discord and let's talk, right? Because I feel that them chatting, it's just chatting, but actually hearing their voice, like what we're doing right now, you know, is such a value to them as well. So we've talked about this. We've talked about soulbound cards and how is it going to be, you know, for them to keep earning. My only concern about soulbound cards is that they've unlocked this movement, and it started with cards. And my thought was it going to translate to other things as well? Am I going to have soulbound land? Am I going to have, you know, those kinds of things? And will it roll into that in the future? So my thought about that, and you know, connecting back to your question here, is that first of all, we need trust in the team, right? We've gone this way. We've gone, you know, this far off already. Starting from Steam Monsters, you know, translating to Splinterlands and whatever. They've managed to listen to the people and whatever. They've brought up, you know, they've made some mistakes. They've brought up some stuff which were not successful. They've learned from it. They're still talking about it. And it's the same thing with soulbound cards. It's still very new. Okay, so people are still kind of adapting to it, and I can see Filipinos talking about it in the forums. The first response is the overwhelming joy of getting a lot of assets, right? It might not be theirs, right? But you know, if you're used to just opening your chest and getting a Pelacor Conjurer, and that was your grind for the day, as opposed to now suddenly getting like 7 stacks of gold summoners, which were normally unavailable to you, the first initial response is everybody stoked for it. I'm talking about Filipinos, which I've seen on the posts. They're really stoked for it. The you know, the excitement of getting these new things. I think it will continue, right? I know us probably we're gonna be talking about, okay, I had that concern, right? Like everything's gonna be soulbound or whatever. I don't even need to have that concern because I came from Web 2. And I've been playing these games which don't give me anything anyway at this time. Like, you know, I guess financial wise, but it can still translate to earnings, right? People can still play their rank games. People can still, and now they have this avenue. They now this have this way of being able to make a deck um without having. Okay, I'm not saying don't have to invest, but probably there's a lot more options open to even the average player, the average Filipino. So that thing about the kilo of rice, earning it, probably. Well, you've already answered it earlier, but Jangles, there's a lot of ways to be able to earn that, right? And I've talked about that on my streams too. You can sell your assets, the assets which are sellable. You can either grind for your SPS, but the biggest thing that Filipinos are doing right now is they're trying to get into the leaderboards, right? DEC, we know that grinding, and I've also talked about this, especially in the higher leagues. You cannot maintain uh grinding in the higher leagues and renting at the same time. You're not going to get a profit. So you have to look at a way to get that profit, and one of those is getting into the leaderboards. So Filipinos adapting to the situation. I'm sure there will be more people grinding their way and to get up there. And I think that is the best response that we can have with this situation. I think that is what the team wanted people to do, to get assets which you can use so that you can continue playing, right? I'm not saying that they're not looking kindly to investors. For example, Level Up Life doesn't play the game. He doesn't play the game. He's all about earnings. He's all about financial. All his streams are all about, trying to earn and getting all of that. And I'm not dissing that, of course. But I'm sure the team wants the people more to play the game and to get into that competitive level. Everything that they've talked about is pushing for people to continue playing and to move up, right? Not discounting the other earnings that you can get in other third party or whatever, but yeah, play the game, and we're giving you these assets that not normally available to you, but something that you can use. And I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, the new summoners, I haven't really looked at it, individual wise, but for me personally, they're probably not as strong as some of the summoners that we're used to, but having that summoner can still get you in the game and still get you a deck. On, I mean, going back to what you guys know about me, I was a Magic the Gathering veteran, right? And part of the fun in creating a deck for Magic the Gathering is to get all these cards which you thought would not be usable and try to surprise your opponent. I'm a rogue deck creator, right? The cards which they say, hey, this is not going to work, right? This kind of combo is not going to work. But I love putting decks together where people are surprised and say, what the hell, this is not the meta, how do I deal with this kind of this deck, right? And I think this is the same thing happening with the soulbound cards. You get cards which may not be as strong as some of the cards. For example, some of the summoners right now might not be a Kitty or a Yodin, right? But there's still a way for me to compete, and that is important. We can adapt to that. We can still get our kilo of rice by playing the game and the rank games and earning our chests. And I think that's how they're gonna do it. I hope
Yeah,
I'm able to bring that answer the question.
no, totally. You mentioned about these new summoners, and for me personally, and I just it made me think of a conversation we had last week with Tuny, another great contributor to the Splinterlands community. He talked about having a silver deck and being very content having his silver deck, because he just focuses on having as many abilities as he can. And I feel that with the advent of these soulbound cards, it just increases that fact. Like you mentioned before, they're not as strong, these new summoners, but they just give you more tools for your tool chests. And that is something I think that's great for the game.
But maybe it's a matter of perspective, because I play in Diamond and Champion, and I'm used to that. In fact, you can bring me to Silver right now, and to a Silver tournament, and probably be one of the lowest of the lows, right? I'm always saying that with my show with the Moore, where where we host this tournament and everybody's in silver. And I keep saying that. Actually, Damore also keeps saying that. If you bring us down here, we're probably not going to be as successful as these guys. For me, it's a different thing. Maybe other people can adapt as quickly, but for me, since I'm in Diamond Champion, I'm used to all these skills available to all of the cards, right? So if you bring in a summoner, for example, it's very different. I mean, if you play in bronze and a lot of your cards don't have skills, right? But then you have a summoner like, for example, Sadius Brood, who provides 2 skills. So all your cards have 2 skills, right? But in Diamond Champion, you're used to cards having 4 or 5 skills, and your Sadius Brood only brings 2 to the table. That's not going to be enough. It probably might not even have brought brought the right skills needed, right? I guess it's a matter of perspective. So, but you're right. Not a lot of people are in Diamond and Champion. But me personally playing in that higher league, if I'm in my eyes, the new summoners are strong, but not as strong as those that we have that what we've had. I can be wrong, of course. I haven't really played in Diamond Champion using maxed out levels of the summoners. I'm sure I'm going to be able to get that experience, but that is my initial thought and my initial opinion about it.
I want to quickly call out. I think we will have I want to revisit this conversation once Rebellion has kind of hit store shelves. Rebellion brings in a couple of shifts in the meta. Number one, all of our Untamed and Dice cards are going to the wild, right?
True.
So we're not going to be seeing the likes of Kitty, Jotun, Llama, et cetera, Lorna, Mylor, all these staples at the Diamond and Champ level that have been holding it down for as long as Modern and Wild have been a thing. And I think with Chaos Legion, with Rift Watchers, with these Soulbound reward summoners, the name of the game is really playing to the rule set, right?
Okay.
And having the ability to play. I'm going to call out a summoner that everybody's poo-pooed on since the dawn of time, Dallin. Nobody plays Dallin. And you were mentioning in Magic the Gathering. You were saying in Magic the Gathering, your whole shtick was to go about creating your own meta, right? And throwing that wild card. Well, I think that's Dallin, right? There are situations where it's a powerful summoner. You can't just throw in a Lamacron or a Lamaquora or a Jotun with a snipe heavy range team and dominate any rule set. You've really got to play to the individual match, and having that full quiver of summoners available to kind of fit that particular match is going to give you the advantage. And I think to your earlier point, Damien, the ability that we have now been given to acquire a champ level set of cards just by playing the game, and it's not we've shifted to, I was right there with, I think, the bulk of the community where you open up a diamond or a champ chest and you get 1 BCX of a Pellicor Conjurer. You just, damn it. Like, what a waste of a chest.
What the hell did I do?
Not anymore, right? Like I had a pretty significant pull. I was opening up some champ chests for end of season. I got 3 BCX of one of the new legendary gold cards. I got 3 gold foil in 1 chest.
Go for you. Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. And gone are the days of there are still those chests where you open up, you're going to get 1 BCX common, but majority of the time you're getting multiple copies of a single card. And that's going to further enable and empower players to play at higher and higher levels just by investing their time and attention into the game.
True. And you've mentioned something, actually. You've hit the key. You've hit the mark on one thing that you've just said, and and everything that you just said recently. You have to play the game to get these cards. These are not cards that you can buy. These are not cards that can be sold to you, and something that the Filipinos will have to adapt as well, because Remember I told you about the Splinterlands PH group, which A-Slim has brought up. This is a very open community where we can, again, with Gcash being available here, we usually trade cards and assets with that group, right? I'm actually a what we call a midman there. If somebody is not trusting that this person is selling him the right amount, I'm the midman. I can, hey, you give me these assets, and everything, we can make it more safe for you, right? To avoid scams. But you've hit the nail on the mark there. You have to play the game. And of course, the reward of playing the game is that you'll get to really play the game now, right? Because you'll now be able to get these assets, and you probably don't have to rent as much anymore because there is something available for you to use. And once Rebellion comes out, like you said, there's probably going to be super strong summoners there too, right? Sorry, there's going to be like new staples, but then you have something to use. You don't have to wait until I earn enough for me to get these summoners in Rebellion. There's actually something that I can use that is available for me right now. We're at a point in time where, I mean, we're always at this point in time where we have to trust the team and the vision and the game itself, right? But this is where we really need. I think this is where, because of during this big meta changes and with land coming up as well, we really have to trust the team here. We have to go with what they want to do. And what really, basically what they really want to do is for us to play the game. And yeah, I mean, kudos, of course, to Level Up Life, who don't play the game but still get their point across and still be able to be a big figure in Splinterlands. But in order for this game to continue, we need to have players. And this Soulbound card thing, although back in my show, when I brought up that concern about Soulbound, everything being Soulbound, I wanted to elicit the conversation. I wasn't against it, right? I wanted people to talk about it. I wanted people to have their opinions come across. And people were surprised. They were these people are with me on the chat every single time, but they've never heard each other. They've never debated against each other and argued against each other. And that's what I brought to my again, going back to my show, is that I usually do these out of the box things where I'm not just going to do a gameplay. Let's do a podcast, let's talk about stuff. Or I once did a dating game, these kinds of things. But overall, you get to know what people are thinking about. Some people are against the soulbound cards and whatever, but it's not just because they're against it. We actually find out why, and when you get their perspective, then you get to question a little about yours. Like, yeah, this is great, but he put up a good point, right? And that good point is something that can translate to the team, with questions and town halls and suggestions. And bam, we get improvements. We get, this communication we have. Oh my God, I'm rambling again. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm trying to connect everything, right? We have Splinterlands TV, we got Filipinos, we got the kilo of rice, but everything translates to this wonderful community and how we want it to continue, right? Even this podcast you guys have right now is for the community, right? There is no reason, let's just be out there. There's really no reason for you guys to do this. You guys went out of your way to bring to life and to show, people different sides, different opinions, and different perspectives in a way that can influence them and say maybe inspire them, maybe maybe think about other ways to earn or to approach the game or whatever. But you guys are not paid for this. I mean, you're not part of the team and whatever. But since you're doing this out of okay, I'm not gonna go full cliche and goodness of your heart, right? but it is. I'm not gonna lie, it is. There is no, I can't, guys. There's no reason for you guys to do this. This is something that you want to you think is essential and valuable to the community, right? I don't have to live stream, or if I live stream, I don't have to teach this. I don't have to do these guides. I don't have to whatever. But there is something inside of me that says that if I do this, I'll be able to help somebody. If I help that one person, if I help him give a kilo of rice, yeah, we might be able to make a better community or more I guess, well, that sums it up, to a better community for the goodness of everybody, right? Going full cliche again. I keep saying that, but yeah.
Well, I think number one, don't worry about rambling, man. It's great hearing you talk, and yeah, I think like for us, like the reason why you do it is the reason why we do it. It's just like to be able to speak to people like you and just hear their stories. I think everyone's got a beautiful story to tell as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you mentioned about the soul cards and the team, and I think the reason why I really like the soul card, one of the main reasons, not just the fact that they're awesome cards, but I think it's just going to teach people how to be patient and how to just play that waiting game, and like teach people that it's not just about instant success. You have to, yeah. And I think from the town hall as well is that it's what the team are planning with land as well, right? It's not going to just be these. They don't want the whales just coming in, throwing their big bucks at it, and instantly, controlling controlling the market. So, like, I wonder what your thoughts are about that as well.
Uh, I went into land very early on, without even knowing about, what's going to happen, right? I mean, I got one plot of land during a time where, getting a plot of land is like really for, for, I guess, gonna say the snobby high up or the whales or whatever, right? But back
The
then,
coños, the
the
coños.
conyos, yeah. I love it. I've now influenced you to to use
Hey
that
man,
word.
that ripple
Right.
effect goes way beyond
There you
Splinterlands,
go.
bro.
See, that's why. But anyway, yeah, the people, it's for the conyos, right? I mean, I only rent my gold, my bronze level cards and whatever. I'm not gonna, go for a plot of land, but it all translates to trust. I think I sold the Kralis, a level 2 or level 3 Kralis, just to get that, just to get that land. It was an instant decision when I found out about it. Um, and again, it all boils down to trust. And I know that's a little hard right now because, you know, here Filipinos are not just into Splinterlands. All right. I know there's a lot of people who are just into Splinterlands, but here in the Philippines, to get a lot more, I guess, yeah, for more bang for buck for your time, you are playing all these other games as well, right? And we've experienced our share of what you call rug pulls or, scams or whatever. So even up to now, and especially what happened to other games like, Axie Infinity, but even up to now, people still question, what will this game be successful? Will my investment be bad or whatever? And I feel that me coming from Web 2, and I have that opinion that, we've come from a time that you are doing these things and not getting any financial return or whatever, right? So sometimes now suddenly people are so into, people are suddenly crypto experts and, talking about rug pulls and whatever. But dude, just I think maybe just a few years ago, you've been dishing out cash for this new sneaker for your NBA game or whatever, right? And not dissing these gamers because I am one of those gamers, but there has you will have to need to look at everything. You need to do your research. You need to check the historical data that you have on what this team has done. And Splinterlands is up there. I'm gonna say up there more than, this is not a Splinterlands. Okay, it is a Splinterlands related podcast, but it's not a full Splinterlands love me type of podcast, right? It is we take it as it is, and as it is, this team is hard at work trying to improve everything, right? And connecting all these people, and and that amount of trust translates to how you want to approach this land situation, right? It is not the easiest thing in the world. This is not a jigsaw puzzle, a cookie cutter thing where I put this in, it's gonna be successful. No, they have a lot of things to consider. Will this actually make or break the game? honestly, there's probably people who's going to be, when we had Magic the Gathering back then, people were used to certain kinds of rule sets. I mean, well, I'm talking rule sets now. I'm talking, well, I mean, with Magic, with rules and different platforms. So when EDH came out, like we can only use a single card. Like people were, oh my God, what the hell is this? What did the, whatever. And now EDH is one of these top, earning platforms and very successful, and people love it, right? Um, People are always going to be afraid of the unknown, but we have to put trust in the team, and I think it's legit that they've earned this trust with all this, with everything that's happened. They could have run away with our money a long, 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 long time ago, but no, they want it to be perfect, and we just have to be. You said it yourself, Wascal. You have to really be. You have to be patient about it. However, my advice for that, and it's something that I'm doing right now. I've talked also on the write up that I told you guys, is that I don't play this game 24/7 anymore. Not like I used to. In fact, when there was this stream with Mango, there was this guy, when I said, "Hey, I'm at work," this guy actually told me, What? You have work? I thought you were doing Splinterlands like 24/7." I'm actually not, and I've been playing a lot of other games right now. I didn't want this was a conscious effort for me not to be overly immersed into the game. Yes, of course, it's great to know the details and updates about and whatever. But I remember, I'm not sure if it was you, Jangles, or Wascal, speaking to Infidel, where you wanted to take a step back. Was it you, Wasco?
Yeah, it was
You
me.
wanted
Yeah.
to take a step back. It's not like Splinter was like overly part of your life, but um, I'll explain it this way. Initial D is this racing game which I've told you guys about, which I had a world record of. Right? It's an anime about this guy who was racing this one mountain forever and ever every day. Right? And he's great to become a genius out of it. Right? But then what happened was he became a part of a team where the team's vision was to race in different mountains. And when he did that, of course, there's going to be a lot of getting used to getting this new mountain. Of course, has different ways of approaching it. However, he learned techniques that he thought, hey, I used to approach this kind of curve back in my old mountain. It's different how I do it here, and it had him grow. It had him grow that when he came back to his mountain, he approached things a lot more differently, and he actually was able to improve his time. Well, first it didn't, because he of course he had to adapt and everything. It wasn't an instant thing, but the point that I'm trying to get across here, and connecting with what you experienced, Pascal, and connecting with the other people here, sometimes you don't have to be too engrossed in this thing. It's great to actually be a little bit surprised, or genuinely take that jump where it's like blind faith. Like, I don't have to know what's inside my burger, right? I mean, I can eat it and enjoy it, right? But I don't have to go through the process, which I'm not gonna go into right now. You guys know how the burger is made and when and whatever, right? But sometimes you just have to trust the process and enjoy it. And a lot of people are speaking up into land because they've suddenly become these crypto experts, where everybody's voice is important. That's right. But sometimes you just have to put your trust in it and enjoy what's going to be coming up, because you've enjoyed it this far. You weren't into the game because you've criticized it up to this point. You're here. We're talking right now. I mean, if we are into the game, because you've loved the game and you've loved the team. This is the same team that did your game. So if they have this idea of land and whatever, I'm sure their thoughts and their intentions are for our improvement. So that's my 2 cents about it. Actually, it's 1 million cents. So sorry about the ramblings again. Welcome to my podcast. And
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we it's kind of like, well, I won't say the main reason, but it's one of the main reasons that we are still in the game. Like me for sure, like just the team, right? And
Mm.
have they made mistakes? Probably. Will they make mistakes? Probably.
Yes.
But like you say, they're just very determined. Like you say, man. If there was going to be a rug pull, why wait for
Yeah.
5 years?
Right. I mean, they could have done that before the bear market, or during the first part of the bear market, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they I'm part of these games which they're really struggling right now, right? I mean, as much as I want to help them and I'm part of their influencers, but there's just nothing I can do about it because they've not prepared for this situation, right? I think there was a talk about there was this one talk about I'm not sure if it was Matt who brought it up. Like they had, even with the winter right now, like they have enough to survive for I think two more winters or something like that. Or there was something like there was a phrase that talked about that. I mean, a segment that he talked about that, and that the confidence that he brought that up, right? It was not. I don't know. You can tell. Again, they're talking about this face to face, just like us, right? And Matt's face was there, and when he said that, there was this overwhelming sense of, okay, these guys got it, right? I mean, they've got it. They have the team, they have the situation on hand, and like you said, they've made mistakes, but the mistakes are helping them grow. They're talking about being able to improve the game, and gotta respect that.
yeah. Well, it's like what you were saying before. We were talking about off air about speaking to people like face to face, right? You see it in Matt's eyes. You hear it in his voice. You hear it in Aggie's voice every week, which I say it again, we're very privileged to hear and see him every week. But even when Matt comes on as well, we see it, and like you were talking before about um the joy it brings you, even if you help that one person. Like I see it in your eyes. You see that emotion and the passion, and it's just beautiful to see, and it just makes us even, well, me personally, just even more, just I feel that I'm willing to just just wait and trust and know that this team is moving in the right direction. As you say, there are there are there's going to be games that are not going to be able to kind of get past this bear market. So
Mhm.
with that said, could you talk to us a little bit about how you got into the Splinterlands TV, and like what have been your positives that you have experienced as a result of that?
Oh, um, well, with Splinterlands TV, I was one of the first batch who came into that. We all applied, right? I mean, there was an application for it. Not everybody got accepted, so I'm very lucky. Thank you, Rondon, for having me in there. But
Damien, real quickly before we dive
sure,
into the
sure.
detail, can you give us some timeline perspective? When
Oh, my
do you
goodness.
happen to remember?
I don't honestly. It's probably mid 2022. Probably I can't. I'm sorry. I don't have that the info right now with me. But when Splinterlands TV, the idea that Splinterlands TV was coming up, there were applicants, but Ron is very particular. I've had some streamer friends who tried this, and they did I can't talk about the rules and whatever, but there were rules, right? And some people probably could not adapt to that situation. There's a little bit of a control because we're not on our channel, right? And yeah, I would say around mid 2022, I think, when we started with Splinterlands TV. So going back to Wassel's question, when we first started with Splinterlands TV, I mean, everybody was not sure exactly where to go, but we were streamers. We had our own thing, and Ron, he was the you just do your own thing, right? And then what's cool about him is that he's a tech whiz in terms of streaming and casting and whatever. So he will give us advice on what resolution that we have to go through. And we've had this conversation because I was using Streamlabs, and he's very much for OBS. And you can hear you can hear his on his way of talking that he's trying to influence you into going into OBS. But the point here is that he is a he is a subtle perfectionist. He will not really force it into you, but then you will go along with it because there is an authority that and he has done this before, right? He also has a pod. If I remember, also has a podcast. I forgot what it was called, but then he brings his experience to us here. He gives us all this advice. He provides us the what settings we have to use, which would be better. He's there when we need help. Sometimes technical difficulties and whatever. So Splinterlands TV has been a way for me to move out of my channel where sometimes sometimes freedom is too much of a thing. Sometimes it's great to go with the guidelines, but Splinterlands TV actually what the value that brought me that it got to me was I got to speak with a more international audience, right? I told you guys that I can speak English, I guess a little better than my other neighbors, but um I still didn't have that audience where I can that international audience that I have right now because of Splinterlands TV. So I try to bring value to that. That's why when I talk to you, with Jangles on the on there were streamers who just do their games and not read the chat, or yes, there were streamers who read the chat but do their own thing, right? And I wanted it to be different. I was always an interactive kind of guy. And there was this one time that I told you that I brought people, they were so surprised. Like, okay, people who are into the Discord right now, I want to get you in. You win a different prize, right? But the thing is, we need to talk about this. And they were so used to just chatting stuff and whatever. And there were people meeting each other for the first time verbally, I guess, vocally on my Discord and on the chat, and thanking me profusely, thanking me, Damien, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for whatever. And we watch gameplay footage 24/7, but you're the only person who did this, who brought us into this Discord and had us be introduced. Because guys, if you weren't doing this right now, Jangles and Wascal, I'll probably be interviewing you guys. So it might happen, right? I love to do that. I love to connect with people. I want to know about them. I want to know about what influenced them. Like, for example, I'm going to take charge right now and ask you guys, both of you, very important question. What's with the name? Because this will say a lot about you. This will say a lot about you. I want to know. Do your people know? Yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember if you mentioned it on there or off air, but yeah, Wasco is just I've got like a little boy, and I was trying to introduce him to some of the cartoons I used to listen to. So I was
Elmer.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. So yeah, just like a time when we were going through just watching all those old cartoons. And yeah, I think you just I didn't have a clue about gaming names. I played ZX Spectrum 48K and at games when I was kind of growing up, but not like gamer. But yeah, and then just the Wascal Wabbits. I personally thought I was just trying to give a name for my team. I didn't know everyone had their own like solo name. So yeah, I think originally it was the Wascal Wabbits, but it's been cut down to Wascal now.
Well, I mean, first, I guess, personal question here. Did everybody who knew you thought you were trying to, I don't know, to project an Elmer Fudd because of
Yeah, Wascal actually in real life, Wascal actually has that speech impediment. That
okay.
this is all a facade, man.
Okay, well, let's get to you, Django. It's
So
certainly a
my
unique
name,
name. Okay.
uh, yeah, I kind of messed up. My original name, and the name that I primarily use is Banjo. That was a nickname given to me as from a coworker a long time ago, and it stuck. The entire company knows me as, not by my given name is Ben, but everybody knew me as Banjo. Like
Close enough. Banjo.
the CEO. Well, Benjamin to Banjo Man is kind
Oh,
of what
okay.
the translation was.
Oh.
And everybody from my immediate coworkers to I would have conversations with the leadership team, and they would call me Banjo. That was that was just what I was known as. And then I set up an affiliate account, and I was looking for something kind of similar to Banjo. It landed on Bjangles. I think I was listening to some Bob Dylan or something at the time, and Bjangles just kind of stuck.
And
So
everybody knew you, and the rest is history. So
the rest is history. Yeah.
right, like names are. It's not just about the names. I always think that when we do something, there is some thought in it. That's why I kind of hate, not really hate, but there's a little bit of a disappointment when I hear that people chose a name because it's some even when you look at, for example, you look at the right side and you see a cup of coffee and you say, hey, my name is Cup, or my name is Coffee. That's kind of okay to me, right? I mean, something influenced you. That means there is some part of you connecting to this object, right? But when somebody just creates a name, and it's like, I don't know, B375554777, and they don't have anything to do with that name. It was just like something defaultly chosen by the game or whatever. For me, it's like for me it's a waste, because people can translate to the name, but it's more than that. People can actually find out more about you through your name, right? You don't have to be like super love god 2023 or whatever.
Was
You don't
was
have
that
to
your
go.
first choice, Damien?
No,
Super
it
Love
wasn't
God.
right. But I used to have an IGN called Puppy Tricked, so I can't, I can't I can't right. But anyway, my point is, um you mentioned, of course, with Infidel, there's like time and attention. And the attention part is very important here, because when you do things haphazardly, or you don't put any thought in it, it becomes invaluable, and it kind of translates to how you would handle certain other things. For example, if you went to me right now, Wascal, and somebody else went to me with the name B57234, whatever, right? Um, Even without speaking to both of you, I would know which person actually might be more trustworthy on certain things, because even with the name, there was attention, there was focus brought into it. You didn't want to be known as somebody defaultly. Of course, there's people who are on the down low. I mean, people are shy and whatever, but they still have some sort of name, some sort of connection. You mentioned this was a way for you to connect with your son. That brings up an image of a family man. That brings up, yeah, the name Wascal Wabbit, of course, came to me like it's connected to Looney Tunes. So there is a kid involved here. I'm not saying I knew that you had a son, but there is a kid, whether it's you or your kid or whatever. There is a kid in you. There is a kid in that name, right? Somehow there's a kid in that name, and that brought up an image of somebody that might be serious in life but knows how to have fun, right? That's the point I'm trying to get across here. And when I get guests in my podcast, again, the random guests that I have on stream, I always ask this name, and I kind of, well, it's not a Sherlock Holmes thing, right? Where you see something and I kind of know everything about you already. But still, there is a little bit of insight on your own character and your own personality, because we're all humans. All my viewers are humans. They're not bots. They're not chatters. I want to know about them. I want to connect with them. I can influence them. They can influence me. You guys are influencing me right now, right? The Jangles are now. It's now saying Conyo, right? See, we've made changes. We've made differences, and I think a name is the first part of that, right? Knowing a person's name. Sorry,
Well, I think it's like the first time like we're all given a name at birth, right? But like, I suppose like with these names, it's like your opportunity just throw something out there, right? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it now, like if my name was BZ378, it would be a bit of a weird entry point into the podcast as well, right?
Mm.
So what about you with Wolf? Because my boy is actually, his name is Conan, but he gave himself a nickname Wolf. So I told him yesterday, it's like, "Hey, I'm
Wow.
interviewing someone with your name." He went Conan. I said, "No, no Wolf." So like, what's the story behind your name, the
Okay,
Wolf?
this is gonna be a story, but of course it translates to it of course it translates to games. Like my one of my heroes is a guy named Terry Bogard. He's in Fatal Fury, and I very much relate to him, and I use him until now. And people actually, when we go to the arcades, for example, they don't know me as Damien or Tim or Terry. That's my name. Oh yeah, they call me Terry or Wolf, right? They
Wow.
actually more Wolf, right? And um besides before the game, actually, I find myself more, I guess, uh how do I say this, more into dogs, or in canines and whatever. But there was a story, there was this very very interesting story that I've had way back when I was a kid. I had a family We had a family friend who was a North American Indian, and of course, I'm not sure if he was pulling a prank or whatever, or when I was a kid, he would take our palms, our arms, and he would say that this is actually your kind of spirit animal. So he did that to some of the kids and whatever, and of course we had a lot of fun. There was a snake, there was like a bird and whatever. And when he went to me, and there was a and I think he just knew this because I had like some hairy arms, and it had even back then, and there was like this part where it looked like a paw and whatever. And then when he said wolf, that can't. So again, connecting to my point, that moment in time got got me really attracted to this name. And right now, you guys are calling me Wolf because of that moment in time. Everything that we're doing right now can become a moment in time which can influence other people. So when that name kind of I wanted to be called Wolf, and I gravitated toward Terry Bogard because he's known as the Lonely Wolf, and it went to Counter Strike, and I was called the Lone Wolf, not knowing that it was Rambo's alias. I was called the Lone Wolf because normally I'm the only one left alive, and I would kill everybody. Well, no, not boasting, but I used to be a huge Counter Strike player, and yeah, and the name Wolf. Now the name Damien came again through a game. It was called Final Fantasy Tactics, and I was trying to find a name to put there because at that time I thought, hey, Wolf is very generic. We got to put something in there, something can relate to people. And one of my favorite players in the NBA there was named Damon Stoudemire. So it was Damon, and then the game was
Mighty
I was
Mouse.
playing. Yeah, Mighty Mouse, you know him, right? So he was a Toronto Raptors. He was one of my favorite players. Alonzo Mourning was also one of my favorite players. But anyway, what happened was when I was trying to put the name there, and I thought Damon Wolf might not. The Final Fantasy Tactics was kind of medieval with the and everything, so Damon might not be a good fit. So I thought, let's try to make it a little more maybe aristocratic or whatever. So maybe Damien might be a good, not knowing that it was a real name. It was like something that I was thinking, okay, it might sound unique, but actually it was a real name. People are called Damien. And there you go, right? A happy accident, I guess. And there you go. People got it. Also helped when you're trying to put something in. Of course, Wolf is very generic. So when you try to type in on something, okay, Wolf is already taken. Would you like to have Wolf 77735Z? Okay, no, I'm not gonna have that. So, okay, yeah, put me up as Damien Wolf. Okay, there's no Damien Wolf. Cool. There we go. We got it. That's the story of my name. There you go.
That's awesome, man. I love it, and we kind of keep coming back to this common thread with you, and it's really connecting with people, Wolf. And I love that. That's that I told Wasco when I first had reached out to you on that Twitch Splinterlands TV, that I had reached out to you because of all of this, community outreach that you do, and you're all about, connecting with people and all that sort of stuff. So now that we've kind of pulled down the veil and we've got you on the mic and rambling, as you say, for the last couple of hours, it's very clear that once that veil is removed, that's who you are, is connecting with people and driving home that.
I tried.
Oh, it's brilliant, man. And I think Wasco and we've come back to this time and time again on various episodes throughout the podcast history is community is the number one driver of what keeps me here. Right. And, connect it, whether it's with our guild or other folks across the Splinterlands space, or it's on Splinterlands TV, whatever it is, there's beautiful people and beautiful stories across the ecosystem, and just getting a chance to, have you on air and expand upon that is great, man. I'd love to kind of circle things back to kind of where we started and go back to what you guys are building in the Philippines. I know I've seen on some of Level Up Life's YouTube videos, and while I don't have a Facebook page, I have seen some of his Facebook photos and stories and that sort of stuff, and putting together, I think it's like a bar that kind of gets overrun with. Say again.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead with your question. I'll answer after.
Yeah. I was just going to say those in-person meetups and like the shared streaming. And I know when he was doing the land purchase, he got everybody together and is, kind of broadcasting this to the in-person local community. And Wasco and I have talked about this. There's a number of folks in Taiwan that play Splinterlands, but it's not like, the chances of me running into somebody in person that I happen to know from in game are, probably pretty slim. But I love what you guys in the Philippines are doing with the community and kind of bridging that gap between, virtual reality in Splinterlands into the real world and doing these in-person meetups and that sort of stuff. I'd love to kind of hear, what's happening, what excites you about that. And yeah.
Okay. Well, of course, before Level Up and the Mango, I was with A Slim, and he started the Splinterlands PH group. And by that, during that time, we didn't really have in-person meetups yet, right? I told you that was the time that it kind of blew up, where everybody knew about my stream. So Ace connected with me. We did all these events. We got more people into Splinterlands. We got more people playing. But then when we heard about what was happening there's this province called Calbayog, just to put things straight here, Mango Mayhem has a bar there. It's the Mango Lounge, and that's where the very first Splinterlands in-person tournaments happen, right? And but before that, they were known for having their he had his waiters in the bar, and he actually had farmers, because this was a province, right? He actually had farmers play Splinterlands, right? And I got to connect it to him because of the story that he pulled up, where he had a farmer friend who had him play Splinterlands, and that farmer friend got a legendary gold foil. He bought it right away, so that the person now had like a small fortune and whatever, right? And I got connected to him with that. But then they put it a step further, and because of all the people in Calbayog, it's a very small community. They had this place where they can go to, and then they can have this virtual meetup, virtual tournaments, and they've had that. To be honest, I've never been there and never even visited the bar. So one day, Mango says, "Don't worry, I'll pay for all your lodging and then whatever." But of course, real life is here. I can't just go to that place. But one day I'll go there. But in any case, I know their story. And right now, the current thing about the land is that what Level Up is Mango's I guess Splinterlands partner, right? And they're partnering, his partner in crime in all things Splinterlands. But with Level Up, what he's trying to do, Remember, he's the one who spearheaded the kilo of rice thing, right? So right now, what he's trying to do, he calls this the kilo of rice thing is because he calls it a people are not investing into this thing because there's a barrier of entry. That's his term, right? I don't know this term. I've heard it from him, and I think it's the same approach he's having right now with land. He feels that land is going to be a really really big thing. I know people have second thoughts about it right now. I don't know, maybe I'm not sure, but what I'm hearing is that it's not as positive as what I've been hearing before. Like people are maybe they're just impatient or waiting for things to happen. But whatever the case is, what Level Up has done is he's now put up an installment thing. So what he's gonna do is right now Filipinos, because of the barrier of entry, they cannot get a land, straight up. He's gonna give there's gonna be an opportunity for that person to be able to purchase a land, and he's gonna be the one to buy it, and he's gonna do it via an installment basis, right? Now there is a criteria for that, and I'm gonna bring this up right now because it's very important. Um, Level Up Life and Mango, they've started the token Team PH. It's an existing token right now in the Hive, and they're going to be trying to put up some utility for it, but they're focusing more on Filipinos. For example, in order to attain that, to be able to get into that own land thing, installment thing, they have to have staked Team PH tokens in order for them to be able to avail of that. Now, the Team PH tokens, of course, people can get it through Hive, but we've been giving it away. We've been on the Splinterlands Weekend Challenge with the Moore every Saturday. We use that as prizes, so people can get these Team PH tokens, right? And that is, of course, although the priority is for Filipinos, of course, anybody else can get into that. But again, Level Up Life and Mango, and I guess me connected to them right now, we're really pushing for for people to get again to be able to see the joy and the value of being part of the Splinterlands family.
Token PH.
Team
Team
PH.
Team PH.
Team PH token, yeah. And in order to help that token grow, we're pushing for people to stake it, right? And I don't know the tokenomics. Their Level Up Life is the one for there, but again, this is a a movement for Filipinos to take hold of things. For example, okay, this might be a controversial topic right here, but have you heard of this notion? And I think there was this controversy also way back. Remember the Weiwei controversy where he was touted to be a bot or something or whatever? Well, not really that connected to that, but there was this rumor or there was this saying that the top 10 people on the leaderboards are all bots, right? And why I'm saying that right now is because there's a lot of the top 10 or top 20. You can go to any leaderboards in any league right now, and I'm going to tell you there's probably around 4 or 5 Filipinos there, right? And trust me, we're not bots. We may act like bots, but we're not bots. When I say act like bots, like we have a lot of accounts and we're all playing those accounts and whatever. But what I'm trying to get into here is that they want Filipinos to take charge of their own skill, of their own value that they bring into the game, right? So they want to give benefits to people who acknowledge that fact that that they are Filipino and and they're part of that the community and whatever. And they bring perks, like for example, you're talking about land, right? But there's actually a vision right now of a rent to own deck. And I'm not sure if I should talk about this, but it's more of Level Up's thing. But he's trying to bring that out, where he can have Filipinos have a chance to have their own deck, renting it first, and then finally, owning it in the end. And again, the point of this is that for the Filipino to be able to play this without having to, go to a point where they don't have to rent anymore and continue playing the game, right? That's the vision to take hold of that. And again, it's controversial because their thought is that a lot of Filipinos are scholars. I'm not going to name names, but you will see some names in the leaderboards from probably some foreigners who are there not because of their own skill, but because there was a Filipino scholar bringing it up there, right? And what they want to do is that, hey, you can attain that on your own, right? And you can bring not really glory to the motherland. That's kind of their term, but you know, to bring your point across that Filipinos are top notch, and don't think about the Conyo thing. You can be the Conyo thing, right? If you have achieved this these 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 achievements. Sorry, I have to drink another bunch of water. So if you have questions.
No, drink away, man. Wow, that's really, I haven't heard of that, so that's really fantastic to hear. And yeah, just that people like Mango Mayhem and sorry, do you say is it Level Up?
Yes, his name is Level Up Life. You'll know him as
Level
Level
Up
Up Life.
Life. Okay. Wow, yeah, so yeah, no, I'm learning something new as well. So it's fantastic to hear. Yeah, just the possibilities within this community. It's just yeah, and just another example of the positives that a game like Splinterlands is bringing out, right?
Imagine, right? I mean, well, I can go all day about talking about how other games influenced my life. Like for example, Initial D playing a racing game got me being into a real life instructor. And my cars right now are modified to for racing, right? So it definitely influenced my game, right? Counter Strike, well, I'm not a soldier, right? But I do know how to shoot a gun. But what Counter Strike influenced me in is I became a leader because I was a clan lead, right? So a lot of the other games have influenced my life, but Splinterlands ranks among the top, if not the top, because back then I wasn't streaming. Back then I wasn't a content creator or an influencer. And I certainly wasn't experiencing messages from people telling me that, hey man, thank you for introducing me to this game. Thank you for teaching me this technique. Thank you for talking to me the other day about how to earn because I've now been able to pay for my wedding to, you know, to buy this thing to whatever. Um, one of the streamers, a very big streamer right now, his name is Petrek. He's a very big streamer in Philippines, arguably a lot bigger than me right now, actually. But he always says that on his streams. He always says that, back then I was only in bronze, but when I was watching Wolf, brave it up and go to diamond and champion and learn these things to get up there, that's the only time that I became a leaderboard player, whatever. There's another female streamer down here. Her name is Johnny Depp. She's called Johnny Depp. Um, Made a splash a few weeks back because yeah, she had a tattoo of Splinterland. She actually asked Aggie if it's okay to put a tattoo of Splinterland. There was a copyright thing, and Aggie actually answered back and followed her. I mean, I'm so envious. Aggie doesn't follow me, right? But he followed Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp was known to the community because we had a Christmas event in Splinterlands PH. We had a Christmas event. We gave away packs, and I was hosting, and I said, "Hey, I wanted to have a co-host, um, who was not known to the community, but I thought can be somebody who's going to be big." So when me and Ace Lim talked about it, I brought up the name Johnny Depp, and he said, "Who? What?" But trust me, when she gets on, and she always brings that up too. She always says that, hey, Wolf, thank you for that one time where you brought me um, into Splinterlands PH and whatever. And she's already had a huge following, but now I think she's around 11,000 followers, I think, on Facebook, a really big thing. And she's now into Splinterlands TV as well. She comes after my time slot. And she always brings that up. She always brings that time that, hey, thank you so much, Wolf, for getting me as the co-host and Splinterlands PH, if it, whatever. Of course, we know they have the skills to have made that, but to know that you have influenced that, it's better than me being there. There, it's better than me. I told you I've taken a step back. Streaming Splinterlands because there is also this unconscious thing for me, right? If Johnny Depp or Petrek was streaming right now, I don't want the community to be divided, right? So if he's streaming, I have him do that, have him get the community, and the people do love him, right? So and the same with Johnny Depp and whatever. Actually, our community is just like one big community anyway. So we kind of share our audience, but the point that I'm trying to get into here is that we've this game has brought a lot of things into my life, which even though I've had a colorful colorful gaming history, it certainly has not brought that much community wise value. Okay, yeah, I'm a world record holder for Initial D. I'm the first Filipino, the only Filipino who has gotten a world record there. And there was a time that the community was rallying around me, but they were all just players and everything. But Splinterlands is where I really was able to get points across. I think I've touched lives and whatever. And that's the most important thing. I mean, I won't trade that part for, being the number one Filipino Splinterlands player in the world. I'd rather get those messages, right? Where you influenced me, you've made me buy this thing, right? Because of your teaching, your effort to bring that up actually touched my life and changed my life. I'd rather have that, honestly.
Oh man, DamienWolf, bro. That it's so wonderful to hear. And we can, for those of you listening, we can see the smile coming across Damien's face as he's kind of reliving these moments. And it goes back to you opening that door, being the first kind of Splinterlands streamer, English speaking streamer, and bringing folks like Infidel and Bulldog and Luke onto your channel, and kind of bridging that gap for folks to realize that this is something that it's real and it can change your life. And these ripples that you've subsequently created as once you made that splash into Splinterlands, they're still recurring ripples, right? Like how big is that ocean? Well, when the ripples stop, we'll know the answer. But in the meantime, you continue to bring these folks on, and I had seen the exchange on Twitter with I didn't realize that it was Johnny Depp is how you pronounce the name, but I had seen the exchange, and I guess the answer, Damien, is how do you get Aggie to follow you? Well, you've got to get a Splinterlands tattoo, bro. And
my wife's gonna kill me, so can't I've already tried. So
awesome, man.
Yeah, I just want to say, it's been fantastic having you on today. It's definitely opened my eyes, and as I mentioned before, it's just see the passion that you have for the game, but not only that, just the passion to kind of give something back to just the people in your community. I think that definitely is probably the main reason why you are staying in this game and continuing to do what you do. So that's really great. And I said it before, it's like for people to see it as well. It's like until they see people doing it, then they, like yourself, they don't know that they're able to do it as well. It's kind of like, years ago, no one thought like the 3-minute mile was possible, right? But until like someone breaks that barrier, and then it's like, oh, and then it just opens up the floodgates.
True. I mean, back when in Initial D, I'm gonna share a little story here. Filipinos, there was never thought there was going to be a world record holder of a Filipino there. And there was the forum where there was a guy dissing us, and they were talking about the fastest players in the world, and they said, how about the Philippines? Oh, Philippines, it's only Wolf who's fast there. And although that seems like a compliment, that kind of hit me. That kind of hurt me a little. That kind of offended me. And I said, no, man. So what I did was I put up a team, and I taught them, and I gave them missions each. you get this world record for this mountain, you get this world record for this mountain, you get this world record for this mountain. I'm going to teach you everything I know, and that's what you need to do. And so I guess I was wrong earlier. I'm not the only Filipino with the world record. I was the first, but now because I've taught these people, now they also have world records. So I came back to that forum, take a look at the leaderboard, tell me right now that I'm the only fast Filipino. Nope. No. We are
I
fast.
love it, man. And this continues to drive home, it's you have a passion for people first and foremost, and gaming is just something that has allowed you to, that's been your platform for connecting with people, and it's been so great getting you on and getting to hear your story, and hopefully we're making new ripples. This is going to be available on the likes of Spotify and YouTube, and who knows who's going to stumble across, not that the People's Guild is any household name or anything like that, but you never know. Somebody could stumble across this and say, "Ooh,
Exactly.
DamienWolf, I've seen that name." So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to get you on, Damien, and connect in person, quote unquote. And yeah, we certainly here at the People's Guild appreciate and take everything that you've said to heart. And it's a beautiful story, man. Thank you for taking the time to share with us.
Honor is mine, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Genuinely.
Yeah, no, it's been very uplifting, man. I love listening to these life-changing stories, and like the stories you've been regaling us with, and your friends also in the Philippines. You literally changing lives for the better, man. It's amazing, man. So thank you for sharing all of these wonderful stories with us today. It's been really beautiful. Okay, and for all of you joining us today, you have been listening to
The People's Guild.